The Denver Performing Arts Complex is a complex in downtown Denver that has all of the theaters under one roof. On one side of the project is actually a parking garage that has a series of retail spaces, and there was an underperforming retail space that we were asked to go into and do a renovation of. They wanted to create an art gallery for student work from the University of Colorado that would display architectural projects and art projects to try and showcase to the public in Denver some of the work that's going on at the university and attract high school students and other sort of museum and theater goers to the area to basically enliven the space both during the day and also kind of at night. The existing space had carpeted floors, sort of very ugly ceiling tiles, and really wasn't something that we could turn into an art gallery the way that it was. So we were really looking for a way in which we could turn the space almost entirely white, a little bit of sort of reflective quality to the ceiling to maybe capture some of the digital sculpture that was going in there. We wanted a very kind of clean, uniform space, and the students started to kind of look for products and finishes that would sort of accomplish the goal of making a white gallery space. Well, there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 800 to 850 square feet of Dibond that was custom bent into the ceiling and then CNC and hand routed around all of the existing fire sprinkler systems and HVAC systems. So the great thing about Dibond was that it was a very sort of flexible and durable material. It gave us the panel rigidity that we wanted for a very sort of affordable price. And it was easy for the students to sort of work around existing fixtures that otherwise would have been very difficult to create a kind of custom ceiling around. Yeah, one of the reasons that we really liked Dibond, and we did look at other sort of materials, metals, painted sort of finishes, was the lightweight kind of quality of Dibond. We were attaching to an existing ceiling grid, and in so doing, we needed to make sure that that Dibond was extremely lightweight. We also had two varying ceiling heights, and we wanted the ceiling to kind of wrap up around and kind of into the next ceiling, and the Dibond has the flexibility of being bent and sort of folded with typical kind of hand tools that the students could use in CNC routers, which we all had access to, versus huge kind of hydraulic brakes and bends. Finally, we wanted to integrate the lighting into it, and the Dibond allowed us to sort of bend the Dibond up and around sort of specific light fixtures that were custom, both track lighting and custom LED that basically brings somebody into the space. For me, I had used Dibond for a while in signage applications, reverse pan channel, so I had a number of fabricators that were using that particular kind of product, but it was almost always in an exterior application for signage, and we had never really thought about bringing it interior until we did some material research. We were looking at aluminum, we were looking at steel, and the more kind of I dug into it, I kind of remembered some prints that we had done where we were printing some of our architectural photography directly onto Dibond and hanging on the wall, and it had that sort of stiffness, the thickness, the rigidity, and that kind of lightweight quality. So that's what made us sort of reach out to you guys. From a fabricating and cutting standpoint, we did run into a few challenges. We had to kind of find the tooling that worked the best. We had to sort of set up the router in a very sort of specific way to catch the sort of metal shavings. But once we got over those hurdles, it became really, really kind of clean sailing. I think the only thing that we weren't able to sort of overcome is in a mitered edge, we had some kind of sharper corners, and so we had to be very careful about that. But once we worked around it and just did butt ends and stopped sort of mitering it, the sharper edges went away, and we were able to kind of work with the product without any issue.